Hey everybody, it's me making another video. Just got home from work today and boy was it tiring, but I'm gonna get off that. Anyhow, this is what some of you people probably been waiting for. What I said I was gonna do, which is today, which is Wednesday. This is gonna be so that you know what that means. It means today is gonna give you my WWE WrestleMania series part 3. And today I'm going to be talking about, I gave you the WrestleMania number 1 series was my MVPs, and WrestleMania series number 2 was my best WWE title matches. Now this one, part 3, is going to be my top 6 worst WWE title matches at WrestleMania. So let's get started because I want to get to this. At number 6, I got Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. This had to be one of the worst title matches at a WrestleMania that I ever seen. It was boring. It was slow. I mean, this match was just so hard to get into. It was hard. It was just an unwatchable match. And you would think that watching a Hulk Hogan match, this match would be exciting and fun, but this match just kept dragging on and on and on, and there was really no good points about this match, and really nothing about this match that just made you want to jump out of your seat and say, wow, that was a good matchup. This was just awful. And I mean, if anybody who's seen WrestleMania 2 and you saw this main event, you would know exactly what I mean when you see this, because this match is just terrible. I mean, from start to finish, I mean, it never picked, the speed of this matchup never picks up. It's just a slow paced match through the whole entire matchup, and really it's just awful. And if you haven't seen this, just don't even bother, because it's just a terrible matchup. And it's one of the reasons why it's at number 6, because this was just an awful match and it was just hard to get into. At number 5, I got John Cena versus JBL, WrestleMania 21. What can you say? The match, it picked up a little bit when it started, but it just kind of dragged on. It was boring. It was hard to get into. There was a lot of boring chants in this matchup. It was slow. The pace of the matchup never picked up. The slowness just kept picking up and picking up. There was a lot of sleeper holds in this matchup, and overall this was just not a fun matchup. And you could tell that JBL was not the person to carry John Cena to a matchup, because this was the proof right here that he couldn't do it, because this was just one of those matches where you would need someone like a Shawn Michaels or somebody else to carry a John Cena to a WWE, or a Triple H or somebody to carry John Cena to a watchable matchup, or even a good, decent matchup. But here, this was just not a good matchup at all. It was terrible, and really that's pretty much all I can say about that. Just not a good matchup. At number 4, I got Bret Hart versus Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. Now, some of you probably will go, hey, that wasn't a bad matchup. I mean, it was Bret Hart against Yokozuna, so it really wasn't that bad of a matchup. But let me start at 2 things that made this match not so good. The one thing was the match was too short. I mean, they could have made the match a little bit longer, but yeah, a little bit longer, seeing as this is your main event matchup, and they could have made this matchup a little bit longer, but instead we got a short matchup with Yokozuna coming out on top and being one of the first heels to win, one of the first heels to come out of a WrestleMania as WWE champion. But then the second part happened, which pretty much killed the whole entire pay-per-view, and that was Hulk Hogan facing off against Yokozuna, which was a terrible matchup to begin with, and it really hurt the Bret Hart Yokozuna matchup, because those two had a okay matchup, but it was short. And then you head into the fact that Hulk Hogan stole the thunder from the two, and that's what kind of made the match even worse and led to Hulk Hogan getting another title reign, and then of course holding on to the belt. I mean, you already know the whole story of him not winning the job to Bret Hart, so they ended up having to have him job to Yokozuna at King of the Ring. But this matchup, it was just not so good. And just think about it, if this match would have been given a lot of time, then it probably wouldn't have been on this list, and this could have been a really good 4-star matchup, 3-4-star matchup at least. But the ending and then the fact that the match was just too short kind of killed any hopes of this match ever getting to 3-4 stars. We then go to the third matchup, the third worst WWE title matchup. It was the Undertaker versus Psycho Sid. There's only a little bit to say. This match was just so boring. I mean, it was just so hard to get into. I mean, when I watched this matchup at WrestleMania 13, I tried my hardest to watch this matchup, but it was just so boring. I mean, there was just too many sleeper holds in this matchup. The pace of this matchup just never picked up, and really, it was just so slow, and neither man really did anything to get you neither man did anything in this matchup to make you want to watch it or get into it. I mean, it was just so boring. And considering the fact that you got the Undertaker, who was good at his matches except for the Giant Gonzalez, and he always can give you a good matchup, but here he just didn't. I don't know what happened, and just not a good matchup at all. And then the fact that it just seemed like the two just couldn't click, and they just couldn't have a good matchup. And the only thing that kind of saved this from being even lower than what it was the run-ins from Bret Hart running into the matchup like 2 times. But still, this was just a boring matchup and really hard to get into. We then go to the number 2 matchup. It was The Rock versus Mankind versus Triple H versus Big Show. Yeah, Mankind versus Rock versus Triple H versus Big Show in a Fatal 4-Way matchup at WrestleMania 2000. What can you say about this matchup? This matchup was too short. I mean, the eliminations were just too quick. I mean, Big Show got eliminated like a couple minutes before when the match started. He got eliminated. Then Mick Foley got eliminated pretty quick, and then you had The Rock and Triple H who did their stuff. But still, I mean, they should have just went with The Rock and Triple H from the start, have those two wrestle 7-minute matchup, and it would have been good. But instead, you had Mankind and Big Show thrown in there, and what you got was really not a so good matchup. And then the ending kind of killed this matchup with Vince McMahon turning on The Rock, and then of course turning heel and joining Triple H and Shane and Stephanie and so on. So yeah, it kind of hurt. The ending killed the match, but overall it was still not a good matchup to begin with, and I feel they should have just went with the Triple H and Rock matchup, which they were going to go with, but instead they added Mankind and Big Show to spice things up. But in my opinion, they should have just stuck with the Rock Triple H matchup, because that's what would have sold the pay-per-view even more instead of the Fatal 4-Way matchup. Then finally, my number 1 worst WWE title match, it has to be the WrestleMania 4 tournament matchup, where you had the vacant WWE title and you had the tournament, which a lot of 16 men competing, or however many men competing in the tournament to crown a new WWE title, a new WWE champion. What can you say? I mean, some of the matches weren't really that good. Some of the matches didn't get enough time. Some of the matches ended in DQ. Matches that were good ended in DQ and should have went on longer than they were supposed to go. And then most of the matches ended in draws. And then it was just a big clusterfuck. It was just a mess of a matchup, and that's why I got it at number 1. Because I mean, some of these matches had so much potential, but the potential went down the drain as soon as the DQs and the run-ins and all the crap that happened in this WrestleMania tournament to crown a WWE champion. It just killed any momentum of this tournament actually being good, and what kind of hurt the pay-per-view to begin with. So yeah, I have this at number 1. Hopefully you like my video. You can rate, you can comment, and I hope to see you in my next